Hello, everyone. Welcome. Another hump day. Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Frankie. Once again, you are number one. I hope you and everyone else are having a wonderful day. And we're going to get started in a moment. And we'll let everyone else just trickle in. Okay, so today I want to talk about sexual predators. Do they deserve justice? When predators are attacked by neighbors, should we care? Should people who attack known, and again, I want to stress known, people who attack known predators be arrested? So if you knew that someone moved in next to you and they were a sexual predator, you knew for a fact that they were, and you attacked them, should you, the attacker, be arrested? Or should people care? You know, they're a sexual predator, so what difference does it make? So that's what I want to talk about today. You know, a lot is going on, you know, between what's going on in the United States and across the globe. There's just so many things, you know, that are going on. But I wanted to talk about this whole thing with sexual predators. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and her daughter was a victim of a sexual predator, and it's something that their family they aren't dealing with it well. And but how do you deal with something like that? Is it something that you ever get over? And they talk a lot about going after this person, and this person has been proven and admitted and is known to be a sexual predator. Welcome, Sava. It's been a minute. I hope you are well. And you know, so I just want to know, you know, how do you deal with someone that you know is a sexual predator? Welcome, crazy lady. And again, I want to stress the word known, that you know for a fact that they are, so you're not going after someone who is really innocent. So if I were to go after someone who, you know, went after my son, or, you know, came after me, or whomever, you know, and I got a crowd together, whatever, and I beat them up, or I killed them, or put them in the hospital, whatever, should I be arrested? I mean, I did do something wrong. I did attack a person, but some people say, well, sexual predator, you know, they shouldn't get justice. You know, who cares? You know, whatever. But then there are some people who say that that person is going to be judged by God, or a higher being, or whomever you believe God to be. So, having said all that, I'm going to open it up, and I want to know what you guys think. Should we care if sexual predators are attacked? And should people who are known, or I'm sorry, people who attack known sexual predators, should they be arrested? So, I'm going to send out some invites, and if you guys want to jump on, you can. If not, I totally understand, and other people will trickle in. No problem, crazy lady. Join whenever you can. Saba, you have the mic.
Well, hi there.
Hello, it's been a minute.
Yeah, a little bit. So what I think of when I hear what you said about or when I read about neighbors or anybody for that matter, what I think is that should not be legal. That should be highly frowned upon because the thing is, there's people out there also who look for opportunities to bully or attack people when they think that they have society backing them up in morality with that. And also, I don't think that any like healthy, normal people would take it upon themselves to lower their I don't even know how to describe it. Like basically, if you're a good person, you're not going to go out of your way just to attack somebody. I mean, unless of course it's pertinent, you know, or critical. Um, so people who want to go on it and take it upon themselves to just beat someone up in that particular scenario, um, what they're doing is they're being a bad person as well. So they're basically a hypocrite.
Okay, but Saba, what if it's somebody who is, and I understand what you're saying, but what if it's a member of your family, and what if what do you do? I mean, what if this is someone who preyed on your? I'm just throwing an age out there. Your 5-year-old daughter,
Well, of
your
course,
10-year-old son. What would you do? Would you
of
feel
course.
differently?
Well, like I said earlier, unless it's like critical or like really like if it's a personal thing, like I mean, it is what it is with that. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know the person and they didn't hurt you or your family, it's kind of out of your jurisdiction, if you will. So I guess it all depends.
Okay, bro, you have the mic next.
Can you hear me?
I can. You always say that. I can hear you, bro.
Because sometimes I can't hear myself. Listen, how you guys doing? First of all,
I am
um,
doing great. So thank you.
I didn't hear like the, everything that was said. Like I might need more pretext before I could really make a comment. So could you catch me up, Solid
Well,
Blue, and then
basically, basically, what I'm asking is, are people who are known sexual predators, should we care? I mean, should we care if they get justice if someone, a neighbor or someone, were to attack them, beat them up, vandalize their home, put them in the hospital, possibly kill them? Should the person who is should the neighbor be arrested?
let me say this. Let me say this. Now there are a lot of people who are like who make those types of accusations, and we might not know whether or not they're more than allegations. If that's the case, yes, they should get justice. But if there's 100% no doubt evidence that they actually victimized somebody, then no, if they kill them or something like that, I believe those are that's an offense that you should be wanted dead or alive, like they was like in the like late 1800s, early 1900s. Get them dead or
Okay,
alive.
let me be very clear with everyone coming in. I'm not talking about someone who supposedly. I'm talking about someone that we know for a fact is a sexual predator.
Yes, you should be able to kill them. And I mean, and
Wow.
that's at the extreme end. But anything that you do to them should be acceptable because that's the way that they victimize their victims. They take the fear of children and things of that nature, and they take it to the limit. And I believe that you should be able to take things to the limit when it comes to that.
Okay, Shannon, you have the mic next, but bro, you said something that I actually want Sava to comment on because we were talking about it in a show last week. But Shannon, you have the mic.
Okay. The question is, should you be able to kill your neighbor who is a sexual predator? Does that mean that they committed a crime against you, or
I'm
should just
talking about they are a sexual predator, and no matter if it was against you, no matter if it was against your friend down the street, no matter, for a fact, and again, I want to be clear, for a fact this person is absolutely a sexual predator, and they did what they were accused of. So should you rile up the neighbors or whatever and go after this person?
Well, that you're talking about vigilante justice. In some cases, yes, I do. I feel like the person that the crime was committed against, yeah, if he's not held accountable for in court, I definitely think the person who the crime was committed against should be able to kill him with no problem.
Okay,
But
well,
as far as
let's say they were held accountable in court, and they went to court and they went to jail, say for 10 years, and they came out, and now they're living next door.
oh, they've already served their time for their crime.
Yes.
Well, then no, I don't.
Okay. All
No,
right.
no.
So, Sava, this is what I want to ask you. Now, last week we were talking about should people who are on death row, who are known, I mean, and again, I want to stress the fact that they did what they were accused of. They killed someone. We were talking about, should they be compelled to donate their organs. Now, you just said that vigilante, that is not right, but Bro said that yes, you should be able to go after them. So my question to you is, if you knew that this person did something to your cousin, your friend, whatever, and what they did to them was just so horrible, and then a neighbor went after this sexual person, whatever, and they did the same thing to them, what do you think about that?
I would question whether or not that person is sick in the head.
Even if, let's say it was somebody's father going after that person because of what they did to their daughter.
Well, when a person is able to commit those acts, no matter the circumstance, I would question their sanity.
So if they were able to plead temporary insanity because they were just so consumed with grief, so they went after this person the same way that they went after them, then they committed the same.
There's a lot of things that it depends on. I mean, like I said, if it's not your family, your kids, your friends, it's out of your jurisdiction. But you should definitely keep an eye on them, of course, and then, just be weary. At least you know what I mean. But it all depends.
Okay, now when you say keep an eye on them, should the neighborhood watch captain be the one who is keeping a watch and following them wherever they're going or whatever? So when you say keep a watch, some people take that to the extreme, and some people are like, okay, they left their house at 5, at 8 in the morning, they came back at 5, they went to work, whatever. But some people, they take it to the next level. So when you say keep a watch on them, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, so there's these things like apps, for example. It's called Nextdoor, and people can keep watch routinely. Maybe there could be a system put in place to where people, if they wanted to get notifications as to this person's whereabouts, they could. I don't know. But if if everybody, so here's my motto when it comes to this: stay alert, stay alive. Don't let your guard down. If you know there's a predator in the area, keep an eye on them, report them, talk to your neighbors, be vigilant, or like be protective, be responsible.
Okay. All right. Bro, you want to comment?
Yes. That's why I like the old school world. Like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. When Frankenstein was running around and he was committing all these infractions and whatnot, they didn't wait until he did something to them or their family. They went collectively and burnt Dr. Frankenstein's castle down. They handled that. And I think that's the epitome of what, happened when, things happen to people like in a building or something like that. A man might come in and grab a lady by her hair and start pulling her out the building. The man don't have to be in her family to roll up on that man and beat him up and get her out the clutches of that man. You don't have to be related. You just have to do something. And if you're just walking around and you just reporting them, calling the cops on them every day and stuff, you just like a Karen to a minority person. It's like you calling the cops for a little girl doing lemonade. Either you got to do something about it or leave them the hell alone. Don't bother them. Don't watch them. Either do something about it to get them up out of there or leave them alone.
That's interesting that you say that. I do have a comment on that, but Shannon, you have the mic.
I really don't. I mean, because things can be manipulated. So can like mobs, people can be told, oh, this person did this and to me, and and when there's a mob mentality, it definitely can get out of control because there is it's like lawlessness it seems like it's so in the air everywhere, and people are going to extremes, committing crimes and not being held accountable, even if they think that, like me, I've had this little neighborhood watch because of this stupid thing on the inside of me. It's like, oh, but they don't have a right to be watching me, but somehow someone's paying them to do this. So I kind of have experience with this one, but I'm no predator. I don't go around hurting people, but yet they've hurt me. I found just one of the neighbors across the street is on my phone today. They don't have a right to be on my phone. I'm tired of this, but I can understand if I was a predator, and then they call it InfraGard. They have within certain cities where, you get it's like neighborhood watch personified big time. But these people have like, I tried to walk to the store one time, and the woman who's on my phone today tried to run me over with a car because she thought I was leaving. So these people are somehow who are watching me, and I got the proof of it, are making money. Someone is paying them to do this. I mean, no one's going to sit there all day because there's nothing. My life is pretty boring. So, I mean, it all stems from what this doctor did to me. But as far as the sexual predator goes, I think the only person who ever could do anything to that person is the person who committed the crime. Otherwise, you need to, if he's still doing it after he gets out of prison, well, he needs to go back to prison. I don't believe in vigilante justice unless you are the person who the crime was committed against, or the family of that person if it was such a heinous crime, such as rape or murder. Then yes, I do believe those people should be able to take justice in their own hands in case the justice system failed.
Okay. Crucible Man, thank you for waiting patiently. What do you have to say?
Well, Shannon just kind of touched on it, but I think I don't want to split hairs or get caught up in semantics, but there's really kind of two questions here. Should you be able to go after that person? And when I say be able to, I mean without consequences, without prosecution, or should you go after that person and consequences be damned? There's a difference. I mean, because what should you be able to, that would mean that the law is allowing you to take the law into your own hands, which is also vigilante justice. I don't believe in that. No, I mean, there's an old saying, two wrongs don't make a right. And I think we alluded to some of this on your death penalty show a few weeks ago. And, it doesn't erase the crime. In the case of the death penalty, it doesn't bring the person back. So I'm not in favor of that, because what's the difference between your heinous act toward that perpetrator and the act that he committed or she committed against that other person? What's the difference? You're exempting yourself from the very rules you're applying to the other person. And as far as if that person has served their time or has been given their justice and they're back in the community, they have all kinds of things these days with sex offender registries, and they can't live a certain distance from a school. And I know things fall through the cracks, and people, don't always adhere to those things. But I think we have a decent system in place now that tries to deal with sexual predators after they're released back into the community. But I'm just not a believer in an eye for an eye. I know the Bible, says that, but I don't think I'm a practical person. My actions would need to address in a concrete way some outcome. And I don't see any good outcome from taking the law into your own hands.
Okay, so you guys, all four of you guys have said, a couple of things that are opening up a whole new topic. So I want to bring up two things. If Shannon says that the only person, if they're going to go after that predator, whatever, are the person who, is the person who the crime was committed against. So I go back to, like we were talking about last week. If you killed my daughter with an axe, should I be able to, part of your death penalty is that I kill you with an axe? Or do you get off scot-free by, getting an injection, where you'll just, for the most part, what you're supposed to do is just close your eyes and you're gone. I have a question about rapists, and we talked about this also. Should a rapist be able to sue their victim for custody if the mother decides to have this child? Should the rapist be able to sue? And Minnesota is the only, and they're trying to change the law, but Minnesota is the only state right now where if you were to rape someone and that person gets pregnant and you find out, you can sue for rapes. So what do we do? I mean, I understand no eye for an eye, but are some of these people who are doing just things that are just so just disgusting and just downright just horrible, should they get off? And are they getting off to a certain degree? Yes, they've gone to prison for 10 years. So what? But but you still rape me, or you still, you still rape my daughter, or you were doing this to my daughter since she was 6, and all the way up until she was 16, and then she, she went into the bathroom one day and she slit her wrist. So what do you do? So Saba, you have the mic.
Oh gosh, well that's a lot of scenarios. But I guess the only point that I would really like to, just emphasize on is, okay, so your daughter got killed with an axe. That's pretty gruesome. Do you have what it takes to do that to the person who did it? or anybody for that matter, like, or
But what if
anything.
okay, but what if someone did? What if I did have the, you know, the gumption to do it? Should I be able to?
Able to, as in
Meaning
physically.
if you killed my daughter with an axe and you went on death row and your death date came up, should I be able to kill you the same way you killed my daughter?
Do you want to live with the trauma of killing me with an axe?
I mean, maybe some people can't. I mean, I'm just throwing different
I
stuff
would
out. So
question the person who was able to do that. I mean, there's a
okay,
reason that I'm on death row for that. You know, I mean, do you want God to watch you do that? You know?
okay. And what about any other points that I brought up? You want to comment on any of those, or you want to pass the mic?
I'll pass the mic. Thank you.
Okay, bro. Bro, you there?
Yeah. Can you come back to me? I'm typing something.
Sure.
I made it go on there. All right. Listen, what I was typing was a couple of months ago on a New York train. Passengers watched as a lady was raped on the train, and we blasted them for watching and doing nothing about it. And now all of a sudden, every one of you guys is on here talking about this vigilante. Just if you didn't do nothing about that, you were just as bad as the rapist, and you should be charged with the charges that the rapist got. Thank you. Let me just get out of here. I'm kind of upset about the way the people.
Okay. All right, bro. No, no worries. Shannon, you have the mic.
Well, like Sava said, that, I mean, do you have that in you, and could you live with that for the rest of your life? Because once you do a certain heinous act, it kind of, your mind is a prison of its own. And once you enact that kind of behavior, it's pretty much all downhill from there. You would never be able to, if you are a good person, you'd never be able to live with yourself. The rest of your life would just be complete misery. Now, if you are someone who could live like that, then there's something wrong with you as well. Because if they did serve time and actually killing someone with an axe, they should get the death penalty for sure. And they deserve to die, just like that. But if a person in vigilante justice, it's you should be able to do it. But the thing though is, can you? But like I said, it makes you no better than the person that did it to you, even though they deserve to be punished. And if they don't get punished by the law, well, yeah, then I think you should be able to take the law into your own hands if justice fails. But if he gets charged and he serves his time, and someone who murdered someone with an axe, they're going to definitely spend the rest of their life in jail. So that's what's wrong with the country right now. People are getting away with too much. We need harder justice. And it's like the police are called after the fact. You never hear policemen, saving the person from this act. And we're supposed to be in such a big brother world right now. And what we have with technology, the police timing at a crime scene should be so much quicker. What we have here, and especially with all these neighborhood watches and stuff. I mean, here in New Orleans, it's always after the fact. I mean, that's why they're talking about defunding the police. So, because what the hell are they good for anymore? So it's so bad. But if you're a person who could live with that fact, and you could do it, and it would make you feel better inside to get that person back who killed you, killed your child or someone you love, then I say go for it. But you just better make sure you get rid of that body.
Okay. Crucible?
You know, I'm not a violent person, and I don't understand violence as a response to violence. But I think what you can wind up with in terms of, applying justice on the situation, you wind up with a potential situation of what I would refer to as moral relativism. And the lines start to get blurred. And all of a sudden, you don't have any consistency in how you solve problems or how you approach things. It's all subjective and dependent upon the situation currently. You don't have an overarching philosophy about how you handle things like that. If you do it on a case-by-case basis, that's where you get into moral relativism. It depends on how I feel that day, or it depends on the severity, my judgment, the severity of the offense. So everything gets to be subjective at that point. And how can you trust your judgment or your instincts if your standards are always shifting? So I think, a violence in response to a violence, except maybe in a crime of passion where you're overcome with emotion and you literally, lose your mind temporarily. I never understood the response of violence to violence. I don't believe it's ever been proven, except for some temporary satisfaction, to really solve anything.
Okay, Shy Lady, welcome.
Hey, everyone. Just listen to lots of people's opinions, and they're all interesting as always. And I know that there's been some people out there who have lost loved ones, children, to murderers, and in some cases, the person literally got away with murder. For example, in the Trayvon Martin situation. Now, I'm not sure if his mother or father would want to shoot George Zimmerman in the fashion that their son was taken away or not. I'm not really sure, but there are some people who would want to do that because justice was not served. And so you have people sitting behind juries who do allow criminals to walk. Let's just, some people were talking about the police and defunding the police, but what about people who are sitting on juries who let people walk? And so I'm not sure if that parent, like I said, it's many of those people like them who have lost their children through no wrong of their own. So I'm not sure if being a parent, if you could actually sit there and say, oh, well, I'm just going to sit back and let whatever happen and just let justice be served. Some people may want to do, if they were given a choice, they may want to take them out just like they took their kid out. So as a parent, I'm not really sure if I would feel no different from like any other parent that lost their child to a criminal who was heartless. And if they were given that opportunity, they would probably take that chance. Like I said, this man walked free. He didn't serve 1 day in prison, and clearly he was wrong. Clearly. And like I said, there's lots of cases. If you're a parent, you don't know how you may react if you lost a child violently like that. And if you were given the opportunity to have justice, and if the court says, hey, we're not going to let this man walk free, you have the opportunity to shoot him just like he shot your child. I'm sure lots of people would do it and not feel a sense of guilt.
Okay. All right. Well, I've been listening to what everyone says and saying, excuse me. And, Bro, I think he does have a point. I remember that case with the woman that was being raped, and I was shocked that no one stepped forward to help her. And as a parent of a 21-year-old, one thing that I told my son when he was little, and he was at the time he was in daycare for the brief time that he was in daycare, I told him, no matter what, no matter how old you are, I will always come for you. I will always do whatever I can to come for you. And as he got older and things started to happen, within society and everything, I said, I will always do what I can to protect you. And if someone ever did anything to you and justice was not served, I would take care of it myself. And I meant that. So could I be that person who, if someone killed my child with an axe? Yeah, I could. Could I live with it? Yes, I could. Because I love my son so much that I would put myself on the line and have to deal with anything that came at me afterwards to make sure that my son in my eyes, receive the justice that he deserves. I love my son that much. I would do anything for him. I would not kill for him, meaning I would not, he said, Mom, can you go, kill the teacher because, whatever. No. But if someone did something to him and harmed him, if I found out that, he was dealing with a coach and the coach was taking him into the locker room, whatever, I would most certainly go and take the coach and do to him what he did to my son. I would, so I understand where bro is coming from, but I understand where everyone else is coming from too. Should outside people be able to come in and walk in and say, well, we're going to, even though you did your 10 years, we still are going to, beat you up, whatever. No. But at the same time, when things happen to you and when things happen to your children or your family or your, father, mother, brother, sister, your best friend, whatever, you tend to think differently. And I'm sure I'm going to get some pushback on what I just said and I'm not someone who is violent, whatever. But when it comes to my son, yeah, I am going to make sure that he receives justice. Okay, so I'm going to go to Sava.
Okay, so I'll just give you an example of, or I guess it's kind of an idea because, you really can't predict the heat of the moment type things, or maybe you can, but if you take a step back in reflection or just, exploring the idea. So like when a rude person crosses my path and they're mean to me or they hurt my feelings, or they make me feel stupid or something, like, I have had the experience myself where I kind of like switch my tone and my vibe, and then like I'm tempted to be and like standoffish when I meet strangers, but that's not my natural character. But to allow somebody to cross my path and change me and to stoop to their level, like that's something that I think people would regret, possibly. And it's like, an axe murderer killed your son, but why should it make you an axe murderer too? Why would you want to stoop to their level?
Okay, and that is fair, bro. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was saying I won't be the one that's giving you pushback for what you said because I'm in total agreement with what you said. As a matter of fact, I think what you said, we walk in that and we can touch and agree biblically based on what the Bible said. Listen, let me say this. It's too much hypocrisy and cowardice in the United States. If I'm in my house and somebody break in my house, grab my daughter, put a knife to her neck, and is get ready to slit her throat, the last damn thing I'm worrying about is being moral. I'm grabbing my closest gun because I got guns in every damn room. And I'm going to find the quickest avenue to lighten his head 100. Listen, let me tell you, I go to the shooting range at least 2 times a week. I'm ultra proficient. I'm surgical, as Denzel Washington said, with a shotgun, with an assault rifle, and with a handgun. I wish somebody would. That's all I got to say right there.
Okay. Shannon, before I give you the mic, I do want to say, and I'm going to say that I apologize if this topic is hard for some people, because I do know that there are people in the room. For a fact, there are at least two people here who have lost their children. So if they want to join in on the conversation, you're more than welcome. But I just want people to know that we do have people in the room who have lost their children. Okay, Shannon, you have the mic.
What's the new question?
Well, there's, at this point, there isn't. Do you want to to respond to anything that I said, or what anyone else has said? Because now we're at the response thing now.
Well, as far as the woman who got raped on the train and everybody sat around and watched, only because I've had a similar experience. I do believe that the people that sit around and do nothing and know that a crime is being committed against you, an extremely heinous crime, such as rape, torture, and they sit around and all they'd have to do is make one little phone call to the right place, and they don't do it. They're as guilty as the person who is hurting you that bad, or who raped you, or who tortured you. And I think all those people need to be held accountable as well. I mean, what the hell is wrong with people? If that was me and I was in that situation, that'd be the first thing I would be doing. I couldn't call, I guess it just shows you that people have lost themselves. People are just not as compassionate as they used to be. And then, but boy, if it happens to them, it's, oh my God.
But
we
Shannon,
need to get back to the world.
But Shannon, let me ask you though, with everything that's going on, and around the globe and what have you, and the way people being killed and murdered and what have you. I mean, I'm sorry. I just think that at some point, like I said before, if people knew that they were going to have the same retribution that they gave someone else, would it stop people from raping or killing people, whatever? Would it stop someone from, robbing the local bank? If people knew that you're going to get the same justice, quote unquote, that you gave someone else, wouldn't that stop everything?
I don't think so. It depends upon their mental state or how criminal their behavior. Excuse me. It depends upon their mental state or what the criminal inside them is. If they have morals, it's not even really morals. It's like, do they have a right or wrong barrier within them, or do they just think, oh, I'm not going to get caught? I know some. Someone will have my back at the police station, or we'll just intimidate these people, or, it all matters upon the individual, because it's what, are you a criminal or are you not? Are you a good person who likes to be kind, or are you a good person who enjoys inflicting pain on people? And seeming like there's a lot of people out there that just don't care, that all they care about is the almighty dollar. And, it's really, really awful that people would allow such heinous crimes to go on and watch it happen or hear it happen. And just because they're being paid off, they're overlooking it. That's a load of crap. All these people need to be held accountable. If withholding information in court is the same as lying. Withholding a crime, when you're a continuous ongoing crime that's really, say, hurting one of your neighbors, and you just overlook it, or you're getting paid to overlook it, those people who are getting paid need to be serving time just as much as the person who's inflicting the pain.
Okay. All right. Before I pass the mic again, Misha, I see that you are connected, but I don't see you on my panel, and I'm pretty sure everyone else sees you on theirs. I'm pretty sure everyone else sees Misha. Misha, could you go out and come back in, because I would like to hear from her, because she probably has something that would say that all of us probably need to hear. So while we're waiting for Misha to go out and come back in. And Misha, if you sign out and sign back in, I can send you an invite and get you back on the panel. So while we're waiting for Misha to do that, I will go to Crucible Man. Crucible, you want to say something? Hello?
He's not on the panel.
Oh, he's not? Okay. Shy Lady.
Yeah.
You want to say something?
Oh no, I'm just listening to whatever. I mean,
You're
it's
just
different.
listening?
Yeah, I'm just listening. Just listening. I definitely agree with your response as well as Revolutionary Bro. I agree. So I don't have anything else to say, but I agree with both your responses.
Okay. And see, Zilla is on. And Zilla, before I go to you, I'm going to hold on. Let me invite Misha back. Du- 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 du. I see you're connected. Do you guys see Misha?
Yes.
I don't see her. She's not on. Okay, Misha, I don't see her. Misha, can you start talking and maybe I can hear you? Because I do not hear you, Misha, or I do not see you.
Is she blocked?
No, she isn't. She is not blocked. Let's see. Nope.
It's just a glitch. You gotta hang up and call.
I know. I hate when Podbean does that. Misha, try it one more time, please. Can you try it one more time to go out and come back on? Because I am not seeing you. Everyone sees you, but I don't see you, so I can't hear you. So if you don't mind, please, one more time. And while we're waiting for Misha Ziller, what would you like to say? You have the mic. Do you know what we're talking about? Because you just
Yeah.
came in.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. They do not deserve justice whatsoever. They can hang from a rope. In my words.
Okay. All right. So while we're waiting for Misha to come back, I have a question for the panel. Scott Peterson, I'm pretty sure all of you all know who he is. Here in California, he killed his pregnant wife, Lacey Peterson, and their unborn child almost 20 years ago, and he's still sitting on death row. I mean, we know he did it. He's still sitting on death row, and their child would be about 20 years old now. So I just find that just kind of ridiculous. So my question to you is, when you have, whether you're a sexual predator or whether you kill someone, whatever, and you go to death row, shouldn't the justice be swift? And I'm talking about people who I'm not saying, you find out that people didn't do it, years later or whatever, but for a fact that these people did what they did, and they're still here. There's something wrong. There is something fundamentally wrong if you can sit on death row for 20 years.
Can I speak? Oh, sorry.
Ziller, go. You have the mic.
Can I
Go
speak
on.
my mind? This I'm for real.
As long as you keep it clean in the sense that you're not offending anyone.
No, I'm not going to offend anybody. What you just said, that guy should be in torture for hell for eternity, and the devil should roast his ass all for an eternity. That guy should be fucked up forever. I'm sorry.
Okay, and you're talking about Scott Peterson.
Yes. And I'm sorry, Solid Blue, but yeah, that's just totally wrong that he's even alive.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry if I offended anybody.
No. I mean, when I say, if you all use the F bomb or whatever, I can, deal with that, whatever, that's not a problem. It's the, when we get personal and the racial slurs and then, bitch hoe, those are things that I do not, that's something that I do not put up with. But yeah, I totally
But
understand what you are
but
saying.
that was meant to that person that you was talking to, not
Oh
to,
no! I understand that. I'm just saying that yes, the F bomb doesn't bother me,
Okay.
But I'm just
Well,
saying.
I just didn't mean to, that really pissed me off that guy's still alive, because I did see that in the news. I was like, wow.
Okay, and Juju says Scott scored 2 major legal victories in 2020. The first victory was in August when his death penalty sentence was overturned, meaning that he would face a no penalty phase trial. And Juju, you are absolutely right, and I think that is absolutely crazy. Okay, Misha, again, I don't understand. I'm sorry, and this is something that I really wanted Misha to talk on, but I am seeing you, girl, but I see you as a caller, but I don't see you on my panel, and I'm sure everyone else is seeing you. So, anybody want to give me some advice on how I can get Misha up
It
here?
looks like she's muted.
It looks like she's. Oh, okay. Are you? Well, no, but she's not on my panel at all, Saba. I'm not seeing her at all.
Misha, are you also using a different app that's maybe using your microphone?
I don't see her either.
You should try to close all the other windows in your phone and just have Podbean up.
Okay, she says I'm on Podbean only. Anybody else have any other
maybe go into your
suggestions?
settings and then go to device care and
Oh,
then
yes,
make sure it's on
yes.
100%.
Yeah, go to, I'm not sure about Android, but for Apple or iPhone, go into your settings and go down to Podbean and make sure that all of your settings are on.
Or you might just have to restart your phone.
Yes, I completely forgot about that. Sometimes your settings could throw it off. So you're welcome, Ziller. Okay, so I will start again. Saba, you want to comment on anything at this point?
I don't know. Huh?
On anything. You want to comment on anything?
Yeah, well, so I don't know all the details of all the cases. Things need to be dealt with by case basis. And it sounds really messed up. And I think that a lot of us here understand that, the system is corrupt. And for whatever reason, people are getting the wrong kind of justices in a lot of people's eyes. And that's really unfortunate. And like I said, case by case basis, the closer it hits to home, of course, the more you become activated. That's just the way it goes.
Okay. All right. Bro. Oh, and Saba, Frankie just sent you some love, and from that email that I sent you a couple of weeks ago, Frankie is a fan of yours, Saba. So she just sent some love to you, bro. You want to say anything?
Yeah. Let me say this. I'm not a violent dude by any means. By any means. Do you know? Knock on wood, solid blue, and to the rest of the panel listening, I've never been to jail, never been to prison, never even, really had a conference with the police. But if I have to, I will. And that's the difference between me and most people. I look at things, on a realistic scope. Like, I understand why nations go to war. I understand, why, people get into fights, because sometimes things get out of control. And that's a way to resolve certain issues. But to just watch people just randomly beat people to death or choke people, I can't do that and feel like a man. I can't do that and feel like an American citizen. We have to. I think religion has really done a terrible job on individuals. But outside of that, in defense of religion, even the Old Testament says an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
Okay. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna jump over to Misha since she took such a hard time and forever trying to get on. So welcome, Misha.
Thank you.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay! I missed so darn much of the show now. I'm not quite sure. I think I forgot what I was going to say. Some of you, a couple of you know, and someone else on the panel feels the pain of losing a child to violence. I lost my 17-year-old son. He was shot in the back, straight through his heart by a gang member in Los Angeles. He was only 17. He had just turned 17, as a matter of fact. So when it first happened, we were in such shock that, I mean, the thought of wishing ill will on the person that did it didn't even enter my mind. I apologize if you can hear my dogs barking away out there. But after the shock wore off and we had the funeral, my husband and I both entered this really scary state where all I wanted was revenge. That's all I wanted, was to get him back for what he did to my boy. And we just passed the 17-year mark on October 9th. That's all I wanted, was to hurt him the way he had hurt us. Thank God, passed after a while. I was raised Catholic. I have a lot of Catholic guilt with that, but I still, once I was able to just let it go and let God try to heal me, I felt better. My husband, to this day, he cannot talk about him. He cannot talk about what happened to him, or the fact that he has been dead, or, that because we have 3 sons and he was the middle child. And there's only 15 months between him and the youngest. So, yeah. So, I wanted revenge. I wanted him dead. I would have gladly have killed him. But because in the initial pain, in the initial few months, but once I was able to start trying to get past that, it went away, thank goodness. And I was able to replace it. I still don't want him out of prison ever for what he did. But I am able to try to move on from that now. Although it's very strange because the pain will overtake you in the weirdest times, when you least expect it.
So, Misha, can I ask, is the person who kills your son, is he still, did he receive life or 20, 30, 40 years? What was his term? What was his sentence?
He got life, but as we know, life is not life when it comes to, I always thought that life meant you are in there forever, you're in there for the rest of your life. Turns out it is not. He was supposedly going to be able to get out in 20 years. And he's been gone now. Jeffrey has been dead 17 years, and it's getting scary. It's getting up to that time. So, I'm going to be showing up at any parole hearing that man has. I will go.
So have you been keeping track of him? Has he been on good behavior or anything that could allow him to get out?
No, he's not on good behavior. He has been a problem child from the time he was young, and he's been a problem in prison. So, I don't think, I know he's gotten extra time for just, getting into fights and he's done solitary. But that's all I really know at this point. we had a really wonderful detective who, you know, when you see out your window, there are two guys coming to you in suits out of a plain marked car, you know it's not going to be good, you know, coming up to your front door. And he assures me he's going to be in there a while longer. So I hope he's right. I pray he's right.
So, Misha, I want to ask you one last thing, and everyone, if you guys can just bear with me while I ask her these things. Misha, when you guys were going to court, did you have any talks or any type of involvement with the man that killed your son? Did you talk to his family at all, like, or did you all just stay away from each other? Or
actually, it's strangely enough, nobody showed up for that man. I mean, I don't know if that's sad or they had just had it with him as well. Not one person in his family showed up, and he had both parents alive. So I didn't understand that, because if it was Jeffrey that had killed somebody and was going to prison, we still would have been there. We still would have loved him. I would not have approved of what he had done, but it wouldn't have stopped me from loving him and wanting to be there for him, you know? So I don't know if you guys agree with that, but yeah, I felt kind of bad for him at that point, that he had nobody in his corner. But whenever I did that, whenever I started feeling bad for him, you know, my anger would kind of kick in and say, "Are you crazy? You know, feel sorry for your son. He's the one that doesn't get to grow up and enjoy his life."
okay, all right, Misha, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm
Thank
actually going to
you.
go to Bro, because Bro, do you have any questions for Misha in terms of what she said? Bro, you there?
All right, can you hear me? All right.
Yes, I can hear you.
No, because I had muted myself and then you muted me. And then when you said,
I didn't touch it, so
you didn't touch it. Okay.
I didn't touch it.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. I understand all of your anger. As a matter of fact, I'm angry with you. I'm rooting for your anger. But the anger that you feel is a different type of anger. It's not the anger that will cause you to go out there and just commit a violent act. It's the type of anger that is a reaction to an act that has been committed. That is an anger that is justifiable. That's why we have a such term as justifiable homicide. Your anger is the right anger to have, because your anger is at no fault of your own. It's due to an action of another.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go to Shy Lady, because she's the other parent in on the forum. Shy Lady, you want to say anything to Misha or comment on what she said?
I think that being a parent, what she felt is definitely, I think, is normal. Wanting, anger and, your son, and even having a compassionate spirit or heart for the person. I mean, I can just imagine you there and you see this person and you probably say to yourself, no wonder you are the way you are. No one is here. No one even cares. And it's probably, started at birth. And I think that's very, very kind of her to feel that toward, a person who did that to her son. But I think that's just the human side of her. And I just, my heart goes out to Misha.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Did you want to add something else, Shy Lady?
Just the fact that, like she said, if her son had been the murderer, she would have been there as well. I mean, I think the same thing. If my child had done something to someone of that magnitude, I would have been there too. I would have been apologizing to the family of the person whose life they took. So I think that's a very humanitarian of her to feel
Okay.
that way.
Crucible?
There's I have a friend of mine who, when we used to get in debates and discussions a long time ago, he would have this phrase that he would use, and it made a lot of sense and it helped to crystallize things. And he would say, where you stand on something depends on where you sit. And it's very situational. And I don't have children, but I try to think about my parents. If something were, back when they were alive, if they were to meet with a violent end, or any other member of my family, it doesn't have to be a child, I guess, but I would feel very differently, I'm sure. I mean, I'm looking at this right now, to be honest, in a very abstract way, because I can't imagine one of my children being killed because I don't have any. But I perfectly understand, and I perfectly appreciate the sentiment that everybody's been expressing on here, that they would very much want to, take the eye for an eye route and settle it in that particular way. I'm not going to begrudge anybody for feeling that way, because I can't put myself in those shoes. I've already said, I'm not a violence for violence person, but again, in the abstract, that's easy to say. So if people want to go about handling things in their own way in order to feel better, then I would never begrudge them that, because I can't possibly put myself in their shoes.
Okay. Saba?
Well, I don't really have anything different to say about the whole thing. So I
Okay.
think I'll just leave it at that. If anybody has any questions for me, I'd be willing to answer them.
Okay. Shannon?
I was reading the chats on the bottom and your response to Misha, and I agree 100%. I feel for her, like almost ache for her. I guess a little empathic of me. I could never. You're like next to Mother Teresa, I think. I mean, a parent should never outlive their child. It's just something wrong in nature for that to happen. And I truly, truly feel for you, Misha. And I wish you all the blessings in the world. And there's nothing that could ever take away that pain. And I hope one day I just don't, I couldn't be like that. I would want my vigilante justice, I guess, and I feel for you.
Pook?
I apologize for being so late. I really wanted to hear this one too. I just got delayed a little bit. I'm not really sure what the situation was, but I would like to say this. I would encourage every single person listening to this podcast that has any compassion towards a child and being sexually abused to address these issues with your local leaders and your senators and your congressmen, to get a motion or a movement in place to expand Megan's Law. If you guys aren't familiar with it, what it did was it created the system that we currently have now with Sex Offender Registry Database. The challenge to this for me is anyone convicted of any type of crime prior to 1994 is not required to be on this list. Now, we can't go back and say, are you guilty? Are you not guilty? But I think it's really, really important for a lot of these individuals that are repeat offenders, that are hiding out in these secretive type lifestyles or whatever, that those people are also held accountable for what they've done. And I think it's horribly insensitive. It's unfair that the government or this particular sexual offender database is not expanded to include anybody that's still alive that was convicted to a sexual crime prior to 1994. And I would encourage every single person to at least address this with your local lawmakers and try to get the fire under them to push for it. I'm one of those huge advocates that do that on a consistent basis.
Okay.
And I have a personal reason for it, and I don't mind telling anybody, but when I was 5 years old, I was molested by a stepfather for 6 years. I was the one that was held captive in fear and fear that my mother was going to be hurt or killed, and constantly reminded of different things. And once I actually said something, we got the ball rolling, and I every once in a while, I get very frustrated because I know this particular person is a repeat offender, and he's not being held accountable for what he did prior to 94. Now, obviously, this happened from 75 to 81, but I know how I would handle that if I had to do it. I know how my mother tried to handle that at one point, and she was stopped from doing what she wanted to do. But at the same time, I know for a fact that this individual was a repeat offender and did it to 3 or 4 other people. And now, who knows, he may be doing it now. But he hasn't been held accountable because the law protects him of having a conviction predated of 94. It disgusts me.
Okay, Pook, you brought up a couple of things, and for people who don't know, Megan's Law is a law that came about due to the rape and murder of 7-year-old Megan Kenka in Mercer County, New Jersey. And Misha says, hold on, let me go back. And I apologize, you guys. I've just been listening to you guys so much. I usually read the chat, and I apologize for that. But she says talking about it is still emotional for me, and she's talking about her son. And Pook, I want to ask you, even though it's years later, and and it's been 17 years for Misha, is it still emotional for you? Does it hit you at certain times? Like you could just be, cooking dinner or something, and all of a sudden it hits you.
I don't know if it does now as much as I did when I was a little younger. One thing that really was I'm going to say a key timeline issue for me. My mother passed away in 2000. And I remember, and she was always the corporate mom, and she worked, and I remember laying on the floor with her in Grand Rapids, Michigan, when she was in stage 4 breast cancer, knowing that she was going to die, and had to watch and endure her in tears about the guilt that she had lived with for so long, right? I think that hurt me more than the acts itself and the memories. I think that hurt me a lot more. And then it took me about a year to kind of work through that. And I actually called him and just to let him know that she had passed away. And he had the balls to ask, "Oh, how have you been?" I said, "No, you don't have that right to ask me that." But I felt it necessary to give you the opportunity to at least know that she's passed. Well, fast forward about 5 years ago, I had a family reunion, and his sister and her husband showed up. My aunt, which everybody came from all over the country, we all assembled in one particular town in eastern North Carolina, and she was actually seated at my table. The sister was. And then when she said, "Oh my gosh, you're so-and-so's son, and I've already met your son," and blah, blah, blah. And I said, "Yeah," I said, "How are you?" And I was very cordial, and I can't hold anything against her.
Well, did she know what he had done to you?
Well, here's the thing. She looks at me and she said, "Oh my gosh, he would have loved to have seen you." And I come unglued. And my cousins were sitting across the table, and they just threw their forks and knives down on their plates because they knew what was coming. And they could just see it in my face, and I just unloaded on her. And what makes me sick is the fact that this individual has grandchildren now by my stepbrother, and my son has never had anything to do with them for obvious reasons. But this person has grandchildren, and I know that there's something going on. As unfortunate as it is, Megan's Law protects him. And it protects him from being known as this type of person or had this type of history. And these are some of the reasons why I pioneer a challenge or a fight to local law leaders to try to do whatever they can from wherever I am. I've been a huge victims advocate ever since I lived in Austin, Texas back in 2010.
Okay.
And we've put a lot of programs together. I think more importantly that I don't have any depression or anything like that. But I think more importantly, my drive is to make sure that people like this are held accountable for what they've done. And as unfortunate as it is, these are cousins and brothers and uncles and neighbors of yours that are running these streets that they've been convicted of these crimes. They're just not held accountable for it. It's disgusting.
Okay. I want to go to Misha. Do you want to comment on what anyone has said?
No. For some reason, this episode is really tugging at my heartstrings, and I just do not want to cry.
Okay.
I'm
Well, then
good.
we
I'm
will
good.
pass. We will pass.
Okay.
We'll pass the mic. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I didn't mean to make her cry. Okay, so having said that, we are at the 16-minute mark, the 16 minute after the hour mark. So I'm going to go around the room, give everybody their last chance to say their 5 cents, 10 cents, anything they want to say. Poop, thank you so much for the Podbean. Saba, you want to add your 5 cents before we leave?
Sure. So
I know we talked about a lot.
yeah. Well, I like I said before, I'll just reiterate. It depends on so many things, and it's different levels the closer it hits home. Like, if it's my kid, you're dead. You're dead meat because I won't even cognate anything. I'll just go beeline, right? So, but then again, it depends on the person. Should I care if somebody who is receiving some kind of karma? Maybe I shouldn't, but I should definitely want to keep bullies and covert narcissists and psychopaths, also within boundaries, instead of giving them a go ahead, like a green light to do something just because, they're being backed by society, because that's just feeding some kind of demon, But other than that, it's just, there's so many variables, and who am I to say what someone should do or not do? Because unless I was right there. So that's all I have.
Okay. Bro, you have any last words?
You know what? Just a little bit. Listen, let me say this. Good, God Almighty. Do you know that we'll say, people shouldn't take the law into their own hand? You shouldn't do it, right? But yet we always salute the troops who are paid mercenaries when they go abroad to fight in defense of the country. What's the difference between fighting in defense of a country or killing in the defense of an individual? Most of the wars are fought over individual incidents. Just because a couple leaders don't see eye to eye, or because a couple of people get killed in a certain way, and then the world responds by sending troops to that area. Everybody is killing in defense of individuals. I'm not going to walk down the street and allow somebody's daughter to get raped. I'm not going to walk down the street and allow somebody's son to get shot. If I have a gun on me, we'll be shooting out. I'm sorry. Let me go. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I can't do it.
All right, bro. Shannon?
I agree with what Pook said. If you see something that's really just, if you could help an individual that you see a crime or such as that nature, a predator, you need to reach out to your congressman, whoever or whatever it takes, FBI, whatever it is, because you wouldn't be just saving that child's life, you'd be saving others in the future. So it is amazing how rampant that behavior is, even in my own community. They're everywhere. And even our last sheriff was arrested for incestuous pedophilia and was raping children all over the place. He is now serving life sentence in prison. But you just don't really know who is who and where they live. You have the right to investigate your neighbors in your neighborhood, starting by like doing been verified reports on them and stuff like that. You have a right to know who you live amongst. And I love you guys, and I think I'm gonna cry now.
Shannon. All right, I do want to tell you guys, Misha says you have the best people on here, and Misha, this is like a family to me. Everyone, we've gotten to know each other for the most part. But one thing that I like about Podbean is you're able to come on and talk. You're able to, people can chat, whatever, but things kind of get lost in the chat when you are actually hearing someone's voice and you're hearing what they have to say. I think it makes it better, and people, they understand more. So yeah. Pook, do you have anything that you want to say?
Yeah,
Briefly.
Well, no, and I apologize for being long-winded. I missed a whole hour, so I do apologize. I will tell you that I'm one of those people that agree that things come back to one another, and it's going to come back in some way, right? And you're never going to know when or how that happens, but you know that it's coming for somebody that does things like this. And once that happens, that's when you claim your redemption. And it's just the way life is. But I can't. I'll be happy to expand it later down the road, but I don't want to take everybody's time up.
Okay.
I do believe any convicted sex offender should have RFID chips installed, so they're monitored every single minute of every single day, and that lives over their shoulders every single moment.
Okay. Misha, do you have any last words?
Oops, I'm good.
Wait, hold on. Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. No, that's okay. I will pass the mic. Shy Lady, you have any last words?
No, I just thank everybody for sharing. Like your show theme says, speaking their truth. I thank everyone for speaking their truth and sharing their opinions and what they're passionate about and how they feel. And it was a great show today. And I just wish everyone who has had some losses, such as Misha, and then, the experience that Pook has, I hope that justice is served, with the people who are involved in the situations that they've caused you guys pain. I hope and pray that justice is definitely served, that God will definitely do justice upon those people who did those wrongs to you guys.
Okay. Crucible Man?
Yeah, none of us knows how we're going to react to a situation until we're faced with us. I mean, we think we do, but it's impossible to know. Some people, like I think Sava, excuse me, and Pook alluded to karma. I'm a believer in karma, good and bad. And even though we'd like to be there for the karma and witness it for ourselves, most of the time we are not. So in lieu of that, I'm completely on board with however anybody wants to handle their pain. Pain is very personal, and it's not fair for me to sit here and say, well, I would handle it this way, so you should handle it this way. It's very personal and it's very individual. And however somebody wants to react to it, I support that. And a very good show today. Solid, complicated stuff, but good food for thought.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, everybody, that's it. That is all I got. Thank you, everyone, for the pod beans. And Misha, I did not mean to make you cry. I am sorry. And Pooh, thank you for sharing, because I know for both you and Misha, even though your situations were different, and even for Crazy Lady, because I know she lost her son. I know that it's very, very hard. So thank you very much for sharing. But everyone, again, thank you for coming on. Speak Your Truth. I will be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a fun show. It's supposed to be a fun show. We're going to talk about going through people's medicine cabinets. Are you one of those people? So speak your truth, go where the wind takes you. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye. Thank you, Crucible Man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Julia, again, I apologize for the late welcome. I've just been so into listening to what everyone is saying. So I'm sorry. And Revolutionary Bro, as always, we definitely hear what you are saying. So Shannon, my friend, thank you.
I'm calling you later.
Thank you. Crucible, thank you for your input. Love you too. And Shy Lady, thank you for coming on and giving your input.
Solid Blue.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a pleasure to knock heads with the panelists. You know what? This is one of the greatest podcasts on the planet, hands down. I would think us up against anybody. We can go up against the Legion of Doom. Let's go. Let's get them.
Well, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully you'll be able to come tomorrow, because when we talked last week about having toilet paper over and under, that show went on, and it's interesting how much people get into their toilet paper. So tomorrow, bro, we're going to be talking about whether or not you are going to, if you're one of those people who goes through people's medicine cabinets. Are you nosy? Are you Mrs. Kravitz? Oh, boy. Yes, I did, Saba. Thank you, Shy Lady. Okay, y'all. Take it easy, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.